Good morning and welcome UUSS. Whether you're here with us in person or on Zoom, we are so glad you're here. If you would join in singing For the Beauty of the Earth, rising in body or spirit.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars alight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, neighbor, sibling, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all tender thoughts and mild. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Good morning. So nice to see you all on this beautiful September day. And welcome to our Sunday service. I'm the Reverend Lucy Bunch, happy to be serving as one of the ministers here at UUSS. Our preacher today is my co-ministry colleague, the Reverend Dr. Roger Jones. This is Roger's last sermon until February of 24 because he's going away, so you need to listen really carefully. His sermon is titled, The Discipline and Gift of Setting Time Aside. Whether you're here in person or participating on Zoom, we're glad that you are with us. We're also delighted today to welcome the trumpet stylings of Tom Goff, who will be sharing his musical gifts with us. The mission of our congregation says we come together to deepen our lives and to be a force for healing in the world. Towards this end, we honor the Nisenan, Southern Maidu, and Miwok peoples for their enduring commitment to this land where UUSS exists. They have never ceded, left, nor ceased to care for this land. For those on Zoom, if you want to follow what's happening in the service today, you can click on the link in the chat that will take you to the order of service. Our weekly message comes out by email every Friday with announcements and notes from one of the ministers. If you're new to us, we're happy to send you our weekly message if you fill out a newcomer's form, either by a link in the chat or at the welcome table in the welcome hall. For those of you on Zoom, after the service, we'll have 12 minutes of time in small groups to get to know each other. And if you're here in person, please join us for coffee, tea, and refreshments on the patio and in the welcome hall. I hope you picked up a blue sheet on your way into the service today. It's an important guide defining activities of interest to you in the congregation. I want to lift up a few items this morning, announcements. Registrations for our Soul Matters small groups ends today. There'll be a table in the welcome hall by the door where you can sign up or get questions answered. This is also the last day to buy a plant for our pollinator garden. I think there's only 5 plants left out of 169. So kudos to this group. Our beautiful pollinator garden will be over there on the north side of the meadow area, and it's it's your purchasing that's making that possible. So Glory Wicklin is out there for you to choose your plant and buy the beauty that will be part of that garden. Our art exhibit program restarts this week. We're very excited. It's under the leadership of Kim Stoddard, so thank you to Kim for stepping up to taking that role. The exhibit that will be installed this week is works by an Iranian artist named UUSS Amini. You can meet her and see the art Thursday at 5:30 here in the sanctuary for a reception. Okay, I'm glad you're here today, but it's really important that you're here next Sunday, and not because Roger's gone or anything like that. But next Sunday is a giant day. Come early and stay late. We're going to start in the morning with the monthly session of our Justice and Equity team, and they're focusing on the reparations report, the California reparations report about slavery in our state. Please come and learn about that important report and all the legislation that will unfold from that. This will be an ongoing dialogue with this report and ways that UUSS can engage. And then come in here for our annual in-gathering service, including our ritual of the gathering of the waters. Our theme for that service is an oasis of welcome. This is building on the Soul Matters theme of welcome, and it is the best Sunday ever to invite a friend. So if you've had somebody you think, I think they'd really like this place, this is the time to invite them. We're going to be focusing on welcome, and it's just going to be a great service for newcomers, so please. And then they can stay afterwards with you for the activities fair. So far, there are 40 UUSS activities groups that are going to have tables out there to share what's going on with them, give you a chance to learn and to sign up to participate. So you don't want to miss next week. That's the takeaway. You got the takeaway about next week? Okay. All right, and now I want to bring up Janet Lopes for a special announcement.
Good morning. It has come to our attention that a certain Reverend, Roger Jones, was ordained 25 years ago, and that this is his anniversary. So I think that we need to applaud him. By my notes, that makes Roger about 12 years old when he was ordained. And I think that's a marvelous accomplishment. So congratulations, Roger. And on leaving for his sabbatical, I was asked to talk a little bit about some memories, some experiences that we've had with Roger in the past. And when Roger first came to us, and I believe it was 2008, am I correct in that? Yes. I was working in the RE office, and part of Roger's charge when he started was religious education. And we were in kind of a sticky wicket because some people had resigned positions and things were in transition, and maybe we weren't exactly prepared for religious education classes a couple weeks before religious education classes were about to start. And I was sweating bullets, and Roger came along, who was brand new, and I didn't know him and he didn't know me, and he jumped in and was incredibly helpful and willing and, thank goodness, able to recruit volunteers and kind of throw things together at the last minute. My biggest memory from that time was the first day of RE. At that time, we had like a play day. So the kids would go to class, and the teachers would introduce themselves, and they'd get to know each other, and then they'd go out and play for a while out on the field at the far end of the RE building. And they were playing tag, I believe, and Roger was out there in his suit and his dress shoes on our slippery, kind of weedy, grassy area, playing tag with the children. And my heart just swelled when I saw him do that. I knew that he was really okay. That was the moment. So Roger has helped us through a number of challenging times here. Ministerial transitions, capital campaigns, construction projects. He was here for a sesquicentennial. How many ministers can say that they were at their congregation for its sesquicentennial, particularly west of the Mississippi? And not to mention the great and grand adventure that was COVID for all of us. And Roger, you have helped us through all of that with intelligence and heart and humor and maybe just a little touch of procrastination occasionally. But now, Roger, with all love, go away. Go be Roger, just Roger, not Reverend Roger, not Administrator Roger, just be Roger, and then come back to us. We send you away with love.
I'm glad you have such a good memory or good imagination, because I don't remember a lot of that. Thank you very much. Our music for celebration will begin, but I want to point out that there's already a lot of candles, but candles and joys and sorrows cards at this table, and if you brought a backpack or briefcase or anything like that to have blessed in the ritual, you may pick up a charm that's been made for you. There's a choice, there's lots of choices, and they're at that table, so you can do that now as we receive the music. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Irina. I'd like to invite Tara to come up and also to light our chalice, and also Crystal Fountain, our religious education coordinator, to come up to introduce the new religious education year. The symbol of the flaming chalice represents our broader Unitarian Universalist religious heritage. And as we light it this morning, we affirm our connections to congregations across this country and around the world. So please respond in unison after I speak to the words in bold. We kindle this flame, the symbol of our shared search for truth and understanding.
In times of celebration, may its brightness reflect our gratitude.
In times of need, let its warmth renew our connections to one another and the spirit of life.
In times of confusion or uncertainty, may its fire bring us courage and commitment.
In times of change, let its light illuminate our values.
May our values call us forward into better days together.
Thank you, Tara. Crystal?
So today is the beginning of a new year in religious education, and
Oh, sorry. I put you out of order.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, now is the time for the backpack blessing.
Yes.
So, we can't send you out until we blessed your backpack, So Crystal and I will be over here, and Rosemary and Lucy will be over here, and we invite you, if you have brought a backpack or any other item to have it blessed for the new school year, whether you're a teacher, a student, a staff member in education, to come on down and stand on the steps or on the chancel.
Let's let them get set up. Maybe we'll be right here.
You want to come up on the steps?
So a new school year is beginning, and we have a ritual to mark this milestone in this congregation and in our circles of care and affection, our younger children starting school for the first time or starting a new year. There are teenagers and youth starting a new year of middle school, high school, GED programs, and early college. There are students in college, vocational schools, and graduate programs. Of course, the school community is made up also of workers, and we salute them too, the teachers and professors, classroom assistants, and support staff. We give our thanks to the bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, counselors, and everybody else. In recognition of this new year, you have brought your backpack to the service for a blessing. Maybe you brought a briefcase or a lunchbox, a laptop or a gym bag or a keychain, whatever it might be that represents your life in school. We invite you now, and maybe you have an invisible item, which is just fine. This is for students at any level, for school workers at any role or job. Reverend Lucy.
If you're on Zoom and if you have an item to show in the congregation about your life in school, you may type your name and your school row into the chat and start your video so we can see you.
Thanks to our member, Terry Taylor, 2 weeks ago, several UUSS volunteers got together to make some beaded keepsakes to give you. If you didn't pick up one earlier, you may get one on your way out of the sanctuary. You can carry these tokens in your backpack or other equipment. Let it remind you that you carry the goodwill and good wishes of our spiritual community as you work and learn this year.
We wish you well as you start this new school year. We thank you for the work you are doing, whether as a student, a teacher, or any other kind of person in a school community. We send our prayers to you on the bus, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, and on the playground. We bless you in the classroom, in the office, at your homeschooling location, or in any online platform where you go to school.
Now, everybody here and at home, please reach out your hands in a gesture of blessing towards every person up here who's starting school, everyone on Zoom, everyone in this room, starting a new school year. And let us join together in saying the words that are on the slide.
We bless you on this new school year. When you need strength and courage, remember that we love you. We are cheering you on.
When you need care, tenderness, and understanding, remember that we love you.
When you need a listening ear, may we listen in a way that lets you feel heard.
Whether you are a student at a school or a worker in one, may you remember to play, laugh, sing, and make friends.
For everyone here, may we remember that learning is a lifelong journey and it can happen in any moment, in any place. Now, let us join in saying together the words on the final slide.
Wherever you go, remember to bring love. Wherever you go, remember that you are loved. Blessings on this new year for you. But wait, there's one more backpack to be blessed, and here it comes.
Hi all, I'm Anara, President of the congregation, and in that role, I want to remind you that Reverend Roger will be on sabbatical starting tomorrow. This means we have to give him the space that he needs for rest and restoration and relaxation and travel and whatever else he wants to do. So that means do not email him. Do not call him. Do not visit him. Do not try to climb in his suitcase on his way to Japan. But if you happen to bump into him in the supermarket or the airport, it's fine to say hello, but do not talk to him about church. Okay, so no email, no calls, no visits, but lots of blessings. Roger, thank you for working so hard for this beloved community. Come on up. We will miss you. And as you enter your sabbatical, we have a backpack for you, full of blessings. It has our well wishes, our love, our gratitude, a few jokes, our respect, lots of good feeling, and our joy that you are taking this well-earned respite. Wear it in good health.
And now let us all speak together. Let us all speak together the words, the shared words of blessing. Reverend Roger, we send you off with our blessings for a wonderful sabbatical. Wherever you go, remember that you are loved and that we will welcome you on your return. Yay!
So now, those of us that are departing with the Soul Kids group, so not SHIG, which is after service, but we welcome you all to a new year in religious education.
And as we send Roger forth on his adventure, we also send kids out for said Soul Kids as we help you in singing your song. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front, one foot in front of the other one. One foot, lead with love. One foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love.
Woo! Let's all take a deep breath together because I need one. It is good to be together. So we have a bit of an upsurge at COVID going on right now with some cases in our community. We hold them all in our care. May all be safe and well. Along with illness, some among us are challenged by mental and physical difficulties. Some of us are serving as caretakers for others. May our love surround all those who could use our support and encouragement. We hold on our hearts all those who are suffering, and we celebrate with those whose lives are whole and well. Let us hear the words of celebration or sorrow from members of this community. Melissa McCampbell shares with us that this is the one-year anniversary of the death of her beloved sister, Marlene. Melissa says, I want to honor her life and to thank my beloved community here at UUSS for helping me through that difficult time and holding us both in hearts and prayers. Larry Evenson shares with us today that today marks his 34th year of being clean and sober. He is still grateful. Way to go. Lynn Carlson shares with us that her daughter, Cara, is successfully recovering from breast cancer surgery and a second surgery that she had due to hemorrhaging. But chemo's not necessary, and things seem to be going well, and Lynn is very grateful. Shirley Paulson shares her gratitude for positive healing progress from her recent knee replacement surgery, for the skilled surgeon, and for the loving members of this community who have supported her with visits and meals. One among us is sharing the joy of a new job and a new school year. Bridget is sharing the joy of being in her room. We know about that. Zoe is sharing the joy of being able to have a loving family and having wonderful friends. Terry Ray shares the joy of leaving tomorrow for the trip that she purchased at our auction a couple of years ago. She's heading to Italy and a bit anxious since she's going alone. She says to wish her luck. And if there's anybody that wants to go with Terry, you can just let her know. Rich Howard is sharing sorrow that his Uncle Bob Aguilar and Aunt Bev Howard both passed in their 90s last month. Crystal wants to share the happy news that Sean and Crystal celebrated their 14th wedding anniversary in August. Way to go. Patty B is sharing her holding in her heart that her son-in-law will have to have open heart surgery in October. And Naomi Keller is sharing a sorrow that her beloved dog Olive passed away this past August. Many of us know the loss of a beloved pet. So these cards and the messages that you posted online represent joys and sorrows that are present with us this morning. But we know that there are many joys and sorrows, celebrations and challenges that are left unsaid. We know that beyond these walls, there are joys and sorrows too numerous to take in. The suffering of individuals and communities due to war and gun violence and other atrocities. We also know that all around the world, people are feeling joy and love, celebrating and rejoicing. The challenge of this life is to live with this awareness, with these joys and sorrows, without being overcome, with maintaining your stability and your presence and your gratitude. So let's do a loving kindness meditation this morning. There are many ways to do this, but this morning we're just going to focus on somebody that's on your heart or mind, whether it's a specific person or a group of people or a world situation. It could be yourself that needs the love and compassion this morning. So think of someone that you would like to offer support to. And let's settle our bodies in our chair and put our feet flat on the ground. And let's take a few deep breaths together. And now to stay connected to our bodies during this, let's put one hand on our heart and one hand on our belly, a nice grounding. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your hands on your body. Now bring to mind that person or place or situation that is on your heart this morning. And hold them in love and compassion. You can imagine them surrounded by light, whatever color you like, golden, white, green, whatever beautiful color represents your love and compassion for them. And we'll sit in silence as we offer our love and compassion to whoever you have chosen this morning. Blessed be. May all be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be whole.
Recognize the benefits of rest and celebrate taking that step back. Please join in singing The Lone Wild Bird, number 15.
The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves my sight. And I am thine, I rest in thee. Great
We have two readings this morning, an ancient reading and a modern one. The first one is an excerpt from the Ten Commandments as recorded in the Jewish Bible, the book of Exodus, chapter 20. This is from the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. Then God spoke all those words. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, and you shall have no other gods before me. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall do labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work. You, your son, your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, but rested the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it.
This reading is from the book Rest is Resistance, a manifesto. Author Tricia Hersey is the founder of the NAP Ministry. She writes, "What does resting look like in practice?" She provides a list, not of commandments, but of 20 possibilities from a number of people. She writes, resting can look like closing your eyes for 10 minutes, a longer shower in silence, meditating on the couch for 20 minutes, daydreaming by staring out of a window, sipping warm tea before bed in the dark, slow dancing with yourself to slow music, experiencing a sound bath or other sound healing, doing a sun salutation from yoga, a 20-minute timed nap, praying, crafting a small altar for your home, a long, warm bath, taking regular breaks from social media, not immediately responding to texts or emails, deep listening to a full music album, a walk in nature, knitting, crocheting, sewing, or quilting, playing a musical instrument, deep eye contact, laughing intensely. Here ends the reading. For the next few minutes, you are invited to rest in a gift of music, which Irina will offer on the piano. And this is an Appalachian folk spiritual hymn entitled Morning Stars Are Rising. It was first recorded in 1937 by folklore scholar Alan Lomax when he visited Harlan County, Kentucky. Let's receive this music with silence rather than applause on this morning.
Every Sunday, our congregation gives half of the offering to a local organization that embodies our mission to be a force for healing in the world. Our community partner for the month of September is the Mustard Seed School. This school is a private school for homeless children from the ages of 3 to 15 and is a part of the Sacramento Loaves and Fishes. The school provides a nurturing, structured, and positive learning experience during a time of transition and uncertainty. The children and their families receive happy memories, survival resources, food, clothing, health care, and counseling, both for the children and the parents. Mustard Seed assists them in reentering the public school system. Since it was established in 1989, over 6,000 individual children have attended the school. On this slide are options for contributing to our shared offering. Thank you for your generosity to UUSS and to our community partner, the Mustard Seed School. The morning offering will now be given and received. Let's say together our words of response for this gift. May generosity bless our world, and may gratitude nourish our spirits.
Thank you, Tom and Irina. A friendly reminder to turn off your cell phone ringers or watches if you haven't already. Even at home, just to avoid distraction. Thank you for the backpack and the well wishes. During the next 5 months, I'm going to miss you all. I'll miss connecting with you and working with you at UUSS. I have enjoyed every cup of coffee, phone call, and pastoral visit that I've shared with members and friends, newcomers, children, and adults here. I've enjoyed attending every meeting I've gone to, nearly every meeting. But you know, having a clear schedule for 5 months is quite a gift. If you haven't read it yet in our weekly message email newsletter, here's a summary of what I'm looking forward to on sabbatical. When I travel to Paris, France, and San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, I'll see the sights of those places and walk around and enjoy the food and meet Unitarian Universalists. There is a UU congregation in each of those 2 cities. In Poland, I will co-lead a Unitarian heritage tour, and I'm happy that 2 of our UUSS members will be joining us on the tour, Jan and Patty. I will see Japan for the very first time and spend a few days in Hong Kong. I may decide to see close friends in New England whom I didn't have time to visit in the summer. Assuming I survive all this travel, while I'm at home, I will get down to doing my estate planning, including a will and trust documents and updating my beneficiary designations. And to be sure, I have a lot of reading to catch up on, books and magazines. I hope to do some intentional spiritual practices, the primary one of which is to rest. The word rest brings to mind images of napping, but I do that already. But resting really means to cease doing what you normally are occupied with. Take a pause. Take a break. The word sabbatical has the same root in Hebrew as does the word Sabbath. Sabbath means rest. In the book of Exodus, the Jewish Bible says, "You shall honor the Sabbath and keep it holy." This means resting on the 7th day of the week. Cease doing what you are normally occupied with. Many scholars don't believe that the 10 Commandments were literally dictated by the Lord speaking to Moses on a mountain. Rather, scholars explain, these rules were a product of ancient Jewish priestly and legal tradition. They emerged over many years, not in one dramatic event. But in framing the commandments as coming directly from the divine, the writers made it clear how important the commandments are to life. And not just the life of individuals, but to the life of a community and the survival of everyone in it. Their survival and their flourishing. The first of the commandments, as you heard, is to honor the Lord above all other gods. Keeping the Sabbath comes just a few lines after that, and after that one, we hear the others. You shall not murder, shall not commit adultery, shall not steal, and shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. The context makes it clear that the Sabbath is not a trivial thing. A notable thing about the commandment for keeping the Sabbath is how detailed it is. It says, not only shall you not work, but you are not to make your children work on the Sabbath, or any slaves or other servants of yours, or any foreigners living among you, even your work animals. Everybody that you rely on, and everybody whose lives you control, yes, even they must be able to rest. To be sure, over 2,000 or 3,000 years since the book of Exodus was written, every commandment that it names has been violated. Murder, stealing, adultery, bearing false witness against your neighbor. These violations have continued. So has the failure to honor the Sabbath. It's likely that the commandments were not preventive, they were corrective. They were aimed at real types of harm that were already taking place in the community. Hence, these rules were created in order to stop further harm from taking place. When the commandments emerged, some people were working other people too hard. Such abuses continue in our own day. Back then, people were exploiting foreigners living among them, and we continue to allow the exploitation of migrants, immigrants, and refugees. Back then, most children had to work hard. Too many children still have to work in difficult and unsafe conditions in other countries and in this country. The commandments continue to provide ethical standards to measure ourselves by. They enable prophets, leaders, activists, and vulnerable people to say, this is not right, this is not just. During the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s, workplace abuses abounded. In Britain and the U.S., among other countries, people who were destitute and desperate had no freedom to avoid working in unsanitary or dangerous conditions, or to avoid working all day long or working 6 days a week, and sometimes 7. Children living in poverty had to do unsafe work to sustain themselves and their families. Reforming these conditions took place gradually over centuries. It was a struggle in every nation with many setbacks along the way. Tomorrow is Labor Day in the U.S. This holiday commemorates and celebrates the expansion of rights for working people, including the ability to organize and bargain collectively, to have a safe workplace, to earn enough to thrive, and to not be made to work too many hours in a day. In particular, the first U.S. law mandating an 8-hour workday for private industry took effect in 1915. It covered railroad workers in the U.S. In 1938, the Fair Labor Standards Act established an 8-hour day across the country, as well as overtime pay and a federal minimum wage. Yet various omissions and exemptions have left out laborers in some fields of work. In short, reaching that standard of an 8-hour day and a 40-hour work week came through struggle and persistence. It took mass organizing for us to put into practice the Sabbath ethic, the ethic of ensuring the freedom to rest. It is a blessing to be able to rest. It is a gift, but it is also, for some of us, a discipline, I think. There are so many distractions, habits, and compulsions which lead us away from rest. There are cultural expectations, economic forces, and financial pressures which get in the way of taking rest. Tricia Hersey has written a book entitled Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto. Writing as a Black woman in America, she describes and confronts the systemic sources of oppression and exhaustion which make it so hard to take rest. Hersey writes that grind culture is the cause of widespread exhaustion. Grind culture includes 2 primary forces: unrestrained capitalism and a society centered on whiteness. First is the force of capitalism. It pushes productivity and speed in pursuit of profit, as much profit as possible. It can render the labor of human beings as inputs, as commodities, no matter the cost on human bodies. Further, in picturing people as consumers, capitalism says that our value is based on when we spend money, rather than on our basic humanity. The second factor that she cites is the American culture of white supremacy. For centuries, this culture has underlain systems which give less value to the lives of black people and other people of color in this country. And this culture burdens people of color with threats of bodily harm and the pressure to work harder. Yet, white dominant culture contains elements which wear down people of all ethnic identities. The cult of busyness and productivity, the addiction to perfectionism, the lie of urgency. All of these social pressures can weigh all of us down. Even people with enough money to be comfortable in a material sense can suffer a spiritual cost. You may have heard the phrase, money rich and time poor. It was coined in Britain around the 1990s. Money rich and time poor describes the situation of having financial freedom and little freedom of time to enjoy rest or leisure. Hersey writes, all of our culture is collaborating for us not to rest. She laments that many Americans exhaust ourselves not merely to obtain resources, but in order to be seen as valuable, to prove ourselves as valuable. She wonders, when will we shift to see our inherent worth? She recommends a number of meditations or personal affirmations for us to practice. Here are a few of her affirmations. I deserve to rest now. I am worthy of rest. I am not a machine. I have the right to resist grind culture. I don't have to earn rest. Hersey learned to rest from her mother and her grandmother, whose name was Ora. Along with 6 million other African Americans who left the South during the Great Migration of the middle 20th century, Ora had moved from Mississippi to Chicago with her family. In the 1950s, they fled the violence of segregation imposed by Jim Crow laws and enforced by racial terrorism. In the rough big city of Chicago, Ora brought up 8 children. She sustained herself with a practice of closing her eyes for 30 minutes every day, resting her eyes. Hersey remembers this from her childhood. While my grandmother rested her eyes, I would tiptoe around her home, trying not to wake her up. I always thought she was sleeping while sitting up. I was curious about her rest practice. I thought she was so eccentric. Whenever I would inquire if she was sleeping, her response was the same. Every shut-eye ain't sleep. I am resting my eyes and listening for what God wants to tell me. Hersey says this about Ora's practice. While all the world around her was attempting to crush her spirit, she rested and resisted the beast of grind culture. Rest is resistance, she says, and we must insist on it. Honoring the Sabbath is resistance too. Whether we follow the Holy Bible or not, the enduring ethic of the Sabbath practice is countercultural. It says to us, even though it seems that you could accomplish more, produce more, and achieve more with one more day of labor, or 20 more hours of work, or 30 more hours of work, don't fall for it. Give it a rest. Furthermore, even though it seems that you could get more production and more money out of those who work for you, don't do it. Give them a rest and compensate them enough so that they can rest. Hersey writes that resting as a personal practice can look like any number of things. Some of those that we heard in the reading are daydreaming by staring out of a window, doing a sun salutation from yoga, setting a timer for a 20 20-minute nap. Praying. Crafting a small altar for your space. Taking a walk or a roll in nature or in your neighborhood. Knitting, crocheting, sewing, or quilting for pleasure. Playing a musical instrument. Making deep eye contact. Laughing intensely. We can resist the culture of distraction by not answering texts or emails immediately, by turning off message notifications, or by turning off the phone. She recommends taking a break from social media 1 day a week or a few hours a day, every day. As a shared practice, we can resist grind culture by creating systems of community care and supporting them. The ethic of the Sabbath says to every community and every country, we have to care for one another. In order to resist the gears of grind culture, we cannot go it alone. We need one another. We need encouragement, support, solidarity, and mutual care. Whatever helps you find peace and connect with your source of strength, may you grant yourself time to receive it. Whatever practice can give you a fresh perspective on life, whatever practice can remind you of the goodness of your life, may you carve out the moments to do that practice. May we resist the gears of grind culture and surrender to the longings of our hearts. May we claim the right to rest and the right to peace. And as we receive the gift of rest, may we embody the power of rest as resistance. Let us put our strength together to create circles of community, to lift the spiritual burdens and economic burdens which weigh others down. Let us work together to extend care to those who share this world with us. May the freedom to rest bless and embrace the whole human race. So may it be. Blessed be, and amen.
Empowered to rest and to be in touch with our senses, please now sing Wake Now My Senses, 298.
Wake now my senses and heed the earth's call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Deep with the web of creation, your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quest for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place.
love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear, brighten my pathway with radiant seer. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Please join me in speaking the words on the slide as we prepare to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but we carry the light, love, and commitment of this gathering into the days to come.
I invite you to reach out to us, reach out to one another. If you're at home, reach out to us, and we reach out to you. Take a deep breath. And remember that breath is rest. May you depart in peace and return in joy, and I will too. For all who see God, may God go with you. For those who embrace life, may life return your affection. And for all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it, step by step, one day at a time. Blessed be.